So what we're going to do now is build a Kearny air pump, and I've built two halves of the frame here, which I'm going to now assemble to make a frame. And it's all a very simple procedure. So we just see what's involved. Make the other side of the frame here. Square this up. And so now we have our frame for our air pump. Next thing is we need a piece of wire. And I have a whole roll of chicken wire here, off of which we've cut one piece here I'm going to fasten on to this. Okay, so we built this frame for the Kearny air pump, and we've cut a piece of wire. Had this chicken wire lying around here, so I'm just using this wire here, and I'm stretching it out over the frame here, and I'll tack it onto the frame. Just these little staples to put into the corner right here to hold it up here onto the frame. Here, put in a staple. Not a good idea to try to tap it on my lap, but that's what I'm doing. Okay, now that we have our wire over the frame, we can, with this excess wire, we can either cut it off or put a few more staples, lap it over here and staple it along the edges and back to hold it. Next step in building our Kearny air pump is what we want to do is build the flaps. And what we do is we make some wires here, and we're going to hang over it some plastic, like a curtain. I'll show you how we do that. First, I've got straightened out all the hangers here, and I've got 4 of these wires bent up here, and we'll check them out across the width of this thing. They're right length or long, and I think about 4 of them facing down here will do this about right. Now I've got to make the flaps to go over it. However, we're getting a drop of rain, so I think we'll finish off this operation inside. So we've been here because of the rain, and we'll continue putting our Kearny air pump together. And so we have our frame now completed here with our screen over it, and we've tacked down the edges of the screen around it. And we have our 4 wires, which are going to be the hinges for our flaps here, that we're going to make these flaps to go over the screen. What we're going to do is take this black plastic bag here, and we're going to just cut it off to make some flaps. And once I get them cut up, then we'll hang them over the wire. We have our screen together, and out of our plastic here, we've cut these 4 strips of plastic that are going to be our flaps to go over the screen. And so this is our hinge for our plastic flap. The coat hanger we'd straightened out a moment ago, and we'll just bend this over the flap, over the hanger, in this manner right here. And then over the back of it, we will take some tape, and we'll tape this down into a over the top of it. I'll take the tape, and I'll put the tape on in a manner like this. Flap. I'm going to take another piece of tape. Flap. A piece of the flap. And I made a flap. And that flap. Bottom was kind of square. Okay, so now I have here the flaps, 4 of these flaps put together, and they're ready to hang over the Kearny air pump. And so I'm going to hang them on here. I'll start at the top one, and in a moment, and staple it. I have a little bit extra here flap, and I'll back it off and cut it down so that it'll just fit right over the edge here. I'll staple this first one on, and then once I get that done, we'll take this and lift it back so the other one will be underneath it a little bit, and we'll put on the next one, and then we'll lift that one back, and we'll slip this next one under it, and we'll hook it on, and finally we will put on this 4th flap down here at the edge. And so anyway, that's step by step how I'm going to do this. Okay. Next. Okay. Anyway, this is my last cut here of the wire. There, I got it. And so now we have the completed frame. In another session, maybe another location, we'll show the hanging of this another time, and how this all works out. But the theory is that when we pull this against the air presses down on these flaps and pulls the air in. And when we let it swing back, these flaps will all flap up against the air resistance, so they won't push the air back out, and let the air flow in. So this is the idea of the pump, and we pump the air then into the shelter to this Kearny air pump.